Should Tory MP William Wragg resign? It's time for our head-to-head. Right, so the senior Tory MP at the centre of the sex scandal, William Wragg, will not have the whip removed amid concern that he's been the victim of blackmail. Indeed, Jeremy Hunt, remarkably, was out defending him this morning.
I think the events of the last few days have been a great cause for concern. The MP involved has given a courageous and fulsome apology.
Courageous? Well, the sex scandal emerged on Wednesday night with a foreign actor like Russia or China initially believed to be behind the incident. And that was important, OK? Which saw MPs send explicit text from a person identifying themselves as either Charlie or Abby. Now, GBNews can exclusively reveal that the sender would pretend to have met the target years ago before developing the conversation further. These are some of these messages, OK? 2 of the targeted MPs are believed to have responded with explicit images, as you do. The scandal then developed away from a potential cybersecurity breach by a hostile state when William Wragg broke cover last night, claiming that he passed on personal phone numbers to a man he met on Grindr because he was worried about compromising material that the man had on it. So, not a foreign actor then. Well, while he might be crying blackmail now, it wasn't too long ago that Wragg himself was slamming a culture of blackmail at the heart of Boris Johnson's government. Here he is speaking to GB in March last year.
There was a cultural problem at the time within government that they thought that they could overtly control the voting behaviour of members of Parliament by either directly or implicitly threatening to withdraw projects and funding from their constituencies, which I don't think is acceptable.
So tonight I am asking, should William Wragg be sacked? Let me know your thoughts. Email me gbviews@gbnews.com. Tweet me at gbnews. While you're there, go and vote in our poll. The results to follow shortly. Doing battle on this now is former Tory MP Edwina Currie and anarchist Dr. Lisa McKenzie. Edwina, I'll start with you. There's nothing courageous about this. He's thrown this country under the bus because he didn't want naughty pictures of himself to get out there.
Oh, William Wragg is a complete and utter prat. In fact, there are ruder words that I could use. I think he's a complete idiot. Absolutely astonishing. I'm the president of the Conservative Association next door to his Hazel Grove constituency. I remember being a little surprised when he was chosen. And he's now retiring. He's actually already said he's leaving Parliament before this all blew up. He's retiring from Parliament, Patrick, at 36 years old, which is the age that I entered Parliament. And perhaps, he was just quite simply too young to be in there. I think they should have chosen his mother, Julie, as the candidate. She's got much more going for her. But I don't think there should be a by-election. We're going to have a general election within months. Right. The choice has already been made of who is to replace him as the Conservative in Hazel Grove. And I think as far as the electorate concerned, if the voters are concerned, another by-election would just be an expensive indulgence, and indeed what they would prefer from William, as from all MPs, is they just get on and do their job.
Right, OK, so you think, in a nutshell, he's a prat, but he shouldn't resign, basically. Right. I'll go to you now then, Dr. Lisa McKenzie. I mean, I absolutely cannot get my head around this. This guy appears to have lobbed every single person under the bus, including potentially this nation, and, here he is, still taking his paycheck.
Yeah, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with you on something, actually, Patrick, but I do agree with you. He should be sacked. It's not about him resigning or having any choice in this. You know, this Conservative government, they're acting like they're in the last days of Rome. You know, I don't know if Rishi Sunak thinks that he's Nero, sort of playing the fiddle while Rome burns, but you know, this is what happens when you're right at the sort of fag end of a political system that's absolutely broken. This guy, he doesn't need to have the sort of manners to resign quietly. He needs to be sacked. Rishi Sunak, doesn't matter about whether or not there should be a by-election. This really, you know, he's thrown his colleagues under the bus. I mean, that's. You know, I would at least have thought that would be, his colleagues would be calling for him to go.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, Edwina, seriously, why should this guy be given the luxury? I mean, he's potentially exposed some colleagues to, well, he has really, hasn't he, to a blackmail plot. And yet here he is, he carries on. And you see what some MPs go for, and you think, good grief. I mean, Boris had a bit of cake.
This is like a late night comedy sketch, isn't it? We have the fag end at the one end, and we have exposing himself at the other end. Absolutely. I mean, you know, when you're a member of Parliament, when you're in any position in public office, you have to be extremely careful about any intimate or personal relationships of any kind. And certainly the daftest thing that you could possibly do is take a photo of your private parts and send them to anybody. I can't believe that he's such an idiot to do something as stupid as that. And then to think he's being blackmailed. Maybe he was. Maybe that sort of pressure was there. Maybe the Chinese or the North Koreans or whoever are, in fact, the original actors in all this. But you should never put yourself in that position. Never. You should have more sense.
When it first broke,
he's howling into his pillow right now and wishing he had never done it.
Well, I'm sure. Well, I imagine it is. When it first broke, though, Lisa, yeah, the line was, right, this looks like, you know, it's Russia, it's China, it's North Korea. I mean, potentially, this is some bloke in his mum's basement who happens to be hanging around Westminster on Grindr, and he's managed to infiltrate the cabinet with sex pics. It's bonkers, isn't it, Lisa?
It is bonkers, and that's why, really, you know, he's got to go. Rishi Sunak has got to show some backbone on something. And if it's just, look, sort of showing your private parts on Grindr, I believe, is very common. I believe that's the thing that you do on Grindr. But what he should have done is when he realised that this was happening, he should have at least sort of fessed up and said, I think I might have done this and I might be getting this a bit wrong and I might be on my depth. But actually throwing the people you work with under the bus, giving out personal phone numbers, that should be why he should go. Showing your private parts on Grindr is standard.
It's standard.
I wouldn't know about these things at all, Patrick, and I'm sure you don't either. But taking pictures of your private parts and sending them to anybody under any circumstances, even if it's for medical needs, really is a crazy thing to do. You know, all the alarm bells should have rung. Everything about it should have said, as it did for many of the others, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is somebody that I know. I don't think this is somebody I want to know. Anybody who wants to see my private parts had better come and be nice to me first and, actually meet in person, all the rest of it. I'm more concerned about the people of Hazel Grove. The last thing they need is the world's camera people descending on them and asking them their personal views of pictures on Grindr. No. Can we just ensure that he does his job properly from here onwards until such time as the electorate are able to take a view? And I think I agree with Lisa. I think I know what the result will be, unfortunately.
Go on, Lisa.
Can you say that 2 other MPs had actually responded by sending pictures of their private?
Apparently so, yeah.
3 MPs?
What is the world coming to? I mean, how about a few traditional values? How about saying,
all right.
I'm not going to do anything like this. This is ridiculous. This is clearly a scam.
Right.
What are they going to ask for next? Money? Whatever.
You've spoken about this publicly before. You had your own relatively salacious scandal, Bessie, didn't you? I mean, is this wildly different to that?
Oh, we didn't talk about it at the time. It was totally consensual. They were real human beings. No, he was a real human being. I won't go any further than that. And it was very enjoyable. Enough said.
Flipping heck. Right. OK. Lisa, so, all right, your view is that. Your view is that obviously this guy should go. I mean, there is another question, really, isn't there, which is, I mean, I don't normally buy into the old psychology of Westminster stories and all of that stuff, right? OK, but when I look at something like this and I think clearly how easy it appears to be to get serving MPs to send you pictures of their various different orifices, and I think, what the heck is... who are these people, Lisa?
Well, I'm just cringing. I'm still cringing now about thinking about what happens in the Tory party. I mean, this 1923 committee takes on a whole different idea for me now, because it seems now like that at the end of every Conservative reign, they all sort of they're in like the last days.
The thing is, though, sorry to interrupt, trying to drag it back to some semblance of sanity and all this, though, is this is what we know about, right? So if we know about this now, just about, I mean, It begs the question, honestly, how many serious high-level politicians have been compromised? If this is just a random bloke on Grindr who's, decided that he wants to see how far he can push this thing, fine. But, what have the Chinese done? What have the Russians done? Who have they got in their back pocket? This, for me, is a genuinely massive concern. And if somebody like William Wragg, is going to go dishing out phone numbers left, right and centre and all of that stuff, then, I think we have a serious problem right at the heart of government, I'd say in politics as well. Look, both of you, thank you very much. I have enjoyed it tonight. It's been real. Thank you very much. Right, Gary on X says he's totally compromised and either needs to resign or be sacked. George on X says, I think this just sums up the calibre of our MPs and explains why the country is in such a mess. Sarah says, I wonder why resign when he's standing down at the next election. It will only cause a by-election, waste local taxpayers' money. Look, I get what you mean. I'm not a massive fan of needless by-elections and all of that stuff, but I just think giving out the phone numbers of other MPs and not, it would appear, because of a state actor blackmail plot, but because you didn't want what might have been a drunken mistake to get out. I find that bizarre. But anyway, your verdict is now in. 92% of you think that William Wragg should resign. 8% of you say that he shouldn't.